Good morning and welcome to the podcast Teach Me Bees and Other Cool Stuff. I'm your host, Dave Wescott, and today we are talking about honey, raw versus pasteurized. And I've got with me the infamous co-host, Scott the Beekeeper.
Hello, everybody. Infamous, huh? I like the sound of that.
Infamous. Well, I noticed that you didn't put pollination on the list of things to talk about today, so
Maybe that'll come up later. Not today though. Yeah. Did is in your when you say the word infamous, is that a positive or a negative? Or is that
positive, man.
ambiguous? Okay. All right, good. Good. For some
I'm
people,
on.
okay.
For some people, it would be negative.
I could like an infamous villain or something like Darth Vader is infamous or something like that. But I'd still be okay with that. Like,
We got some negative points about talking about Star Wars on the podcast. We definitely should not be doing that.
well, let's not go down
They
the
don't
whole rabbit
keep they
trail.
don't
But
keep bees in space. Although I think the honey would help his face when he took his helmet off.
that's probably true. Rub some honey on that thing and it'll get better.
And here's my big question for you. If he does take his helmet off from time to time, why does he have the scabbing? And if scabbing is not fixable with the helmet off, why do the Mandalorians not have scabbing all over their faces?
Well, they wear it for Mandalorian culture. He wears it because his face is disgusting.
Right, but his face always wasn't disgusting. If you look at the show when he puts the helmet on and we're talking about the other three movies that came out after the original ones. I gotta say, his face wasn't disgusting at that point.
No. Hayden Christensen, episode 3. Solid.
So I gotta know what caused the face to rot. Is that just a Disney
Lava.
faux pas?
Lava caused the face to rot, man. And yeah, that's maybe there might be a slight plot hole to look over. I don't know. I've not thought
All
too
right, we're
much.
supposed to be talking about raw versus pasteurized honey.
That's
Where
right.
is pasteurization from? Do you know?
Like the word, where is it from?
Yeah, well, who created it? Do you know?
I do not know who came up with the word pasteurization. Do you know?
I do. It
Oh,
comes from
teach us.
it comes from Louis Pasteur, who is the person who created pasteurization.
Is he French?
I don't know where he's from. I
Okay.
just know that I had to do a book report on pasteurization when I was in grade school, and pasteurization is named after Louis Pasteur, who created the
Wow.
technique in the program, and that's why we have safe milk to drink.
That is super interesting. How long ago did he do that?
Well, Louis Pasteur probably did that, and I'm gonna just
Google it.
let's see. Louis Pasteur, yes, he was a French chemist, and he was born December 27th, 1822, died September 28th, 1895.
1895. Long time ago. Long time
Yep.
ago.
Louis Pasteur was a French chemist, pharmacist, and microbiologist renowned for his discoveries of the principles of vaccination, microbial fermentation, and pasteurization, the last of which was named after him.
That's a smart dude. That's a very smart dude.
Yeah, he also looks kind of rough. He looks like he could hold a shotgun and drink some bourbon.
Oh, those days are different. They're built different back then, 150 years ago. But today we are getting into raw honey, pasteurized honey, which I didn't know where the word pasteurization came from. So there you go. That's a new
Now you
fact.
know. Now you know.
Now
If
I
you
know.
don't know, now you know.
That's right. On our previous episode, we talked about honey a lot and some of the different aspects of honey. And so today we kind of wanted to expand on raw and pasteurized. What are the differences? Why is one maybe better than the other, or pros and cons, vice versa? So we're just going to chat about that a little bit today. And yeah, go check out the other episode of Honey before this, and then come listen to this one. So Um, Raw honey, my favorite, the best. What do you think? Would you prefer raw honey or pasteurized honey?
Listen, I mean, okay, I'm just gonna put it like this. There's some things in life that honey is just the very best in the world on, and I'm gonna break it down like this. I absolutely love honey when I go to KFC and I get some biscuits and I put some butter on them and they're super warm and I douse them in honey. At that particular moment, I do not care if the honey is raw or pasteurized. Throwing that out there. Second of all, I think that when we look at honey, I think that honey has a lot of different purposes to it. And I think it's
Yeah.
important to, really think about that. And I want to think about it in terms of the bee, because I think this is for me is a really, really important thing. So as a beekeeper, as a, uh, bee business owner, I'm thinking I want to think about the bees first. And that's something that I think is important. And, why do bees make honey? And I think one of the important reasons to know is that bees don't make honey so that we can enjoy our biscuits at KFC. Okay, that's not the purpose of honey. The bees make the honey because of the fact that they are going to eat that honey during the winter time. And so it's really important to know that as a beehive, gets ready for winter and winterization, it's storing up that honey and it's making that honey,
Yeah.
in large quantities so that during the winter time when they aren't flying and they aren't out there, doing their thing, if you will, pollinating, that they're able to have honey to eat off of. And so, first, I want to recognize and just be thankful for the bee and the honey that's created. And then, secondly, I want to say, like, don't rob the bee of all the honey. Leave honey in the hive so that the bee can continue to flourish and grow and take care of the hive that they're in. I think that that's really important. I am not a fan of the people who go into a hive to raise a hive, raise the bees, and then at the end of the season, strip out all the honey and then let the bees die, right? There is a
Nope.
there is people who do that. I'm just going to say I've met some on my
Yep.
journey, and I don't like that. I don't think that that's good. Listen, and if you are one of those people who strips out all the honey, call us and we're happy to take the bees and save the bees and do all that. So raw honey is an awesome resource, but I want to respect the bees that have brought that to us. And then from there, I kind of have the feeling that raw honey is the best. And I think really it's the best in all circumstances. But I think that if you're getting raw honey, like you're in Washington, it's great to get maybe Oregon too. Like it's great to get honey from us at Honey for Hope or any of the other amazing beekeepers that we've had on the show. I think that's fantastic. But try to
Yeah.
buy the local honey because localized to yourself is really going to have those nutrients and those antioxidants and those things that help you deal with allergies and are good for your local environment. So I'm a believer in try to buy that local honey. If you can't buy the local honey, if there's none available, if there's none around, then maybe direct ship it in. And then third, I think I would go to pasteurized honey or honey off the shelf. I was recently having a conversation with somebody. They're like, "Hey, do you have any honey?" And I was like, "No, we actually gave all our honey away last year. We didn't even sell it. We just gave it away because our mission, Honey for Hope, is helping people." But the thing was, well, why don't you have any honey? And I was like, well, the thing is, we're not like Safeway or Kroger or a grocery store where you just walk in and there's just honey on the shelf, right? Our honey comes from our hives. It's extracted from our hives, and whether our hives are in raspberries or blueberries or blackberries, wherever they might be at that particular time, or maybe they're just naturally roaming many different types of flowers, at the end of the day, that's why we don't have it because one, we gave it away, but we got to wait for those bees to rebuild that honey. And the process is that, we're going to extract the honey. We want to leave a fair amount in for them to be able to eat on. And then maybe we want to supplement that with some sugar water, maybe some pollen patties, We want to get them down to California so they can be healthy and strong. We want to get them pollinating almonds. Then we want those bees to come back. They're going to hang out for a little bit, maybe do some hive splitting, and then maybe we'll send them off to some apple orchards, some blueberry orchards, some raspberry orchards. We'll do some things like that, or raspberry fields, whatever you want to call them. And then they're going to come back and they're going to extract. And maybe in between that, we're going to extract a little bit. But our honey really comes, mostly at one time a year. And so that's when we have our big influx. And then, people buy it like that. So I think, that's really the process. It's raw, it's thick, it's strong. And so that's kind of the time frame for us. And that's a little bit about my feelings on honey.
Yeah, so raw honey, again, I mean, I think it's great. It's so what kind of separates raw and pasteurized is how it's extracted and the temperature it's extracted at. And then there might be a motivational factor, like pasteurized honey could be watered down to kind of extend its shelf life, if you will, whereas raw honey has to meet a certain water threshold, less than 20%, roughly around 18. And so raw honey, in the extraction process, you typically try to keep the room that you're extracting at 90 to 95 degrees at a normal hive temperature. You could increase that. Some people believe that you could go up all the way to 120. Some disagree, don't go quite that high. If it was for maybe a couple hours to extract, I don't think that's that big of a deal. But try to keep it around hive temperatures. That's the first thing. And so it flows better. When it's warmer, raw honey flows better. So when you want to get your bottle of raw honey at your market or you want to order some, it it's warmer to be bottled. So I don't know if everybody realizes that, but cold honey is incredibly hard to bottle. It just takes forever to flow. Um,
It's
and
also hard
then
to eat.
it is. It's not as enjoyable.
I
Like,
keep my honey in the fridge because of the ants.
yes, we remember that.
We talked about that. You're not going to forget it.
Yeah.
Raw honey should not be filtered to remove pollen or smaller organic matter. That's the Washington State legal definition for selling raw honey.
Yep. Yep. So it needs to be at hive temperature. Don't filter it so much that you remove all the value of it, you know? And
Yep.
then um bottle yeah, as I said, the bottling process, but raw honey, it becomes pasteurized honey. So all honey when you extract it is raw honey. But then raw honey becomes pasteurized if you take it past a certain point. If you keep it heated beyond hive temperatures, if you're above 120. If you like your spun honey, which I'm like open to spun honey, it's good in some cases. That stuff's generally going to be warmed up 200 degrees to be made on a large scale level. And now if you just take your raw honey at home and then you spin it and do some stuff, like that's a little different. But there's a lot of variations of honey that has been heated up, which then they lose their nutritional value. They lose the antioxidants, they lose the vitamins and those things, which for some people, they like that. It takes that out because in their head it's safer. And I think that's like okay, but at the same time, you're taking a lot of the nutritional value, which is where I think honey is special. Because unlike a lot of sweeteners in the world, honey is actually as close to nature like as you can get. Like if I go get a Hershey's chocolate bar, it's not super healthy for me. Whereas honey actually can be good for you, can be healthy for you.
True. I love all those points, and I think you're spot on with everything that you've shared with us today. Having
Yeah.
said that, I think this is the end of the show, and we'll see you next week. Just kidding. We
Did
got
he get you? You still listening?
we got to have a little fun there. But no, seriously, the raw honey is good, and I don't. And there is a truth about that when you said that some people do like to have those things filtered out. I'm going to tell you what, drinking water, the bottled water, I don't know. There's no nutrients in it. You know what I mean? You're just flushing the nutrients out of your system on some level. It's good to drink water. Don't stop drinking water. But it also I can tell when I'm drinking too much water and I flush the nutrients out of myself. it causes
Mm.
cramping, right? Like I can drink so much water that I don't feel good. So I love kind of I love what's from nature. I love going out to the blueberry patch I have in my front yard. I love sitting there eating raw blueberries. I love going out to my raspberry field and eating raspberries. I love all those things. And they're so good. You know what I mean? They're so good.
Yeah.
And, there's probably little things I'm putting into myself that aren't good, but I just believe that that's how I want to do it.
Yeah, you know, Washington State. So I mean, we're in Washington, so it's helpful to use definitions from the state. Says that honey is considered processed if it's cooked, pasteurized, blended, spun, creamed, or it has any added ingredients or flavors. And then if you were to sell honey, it says selling honey sticks that contain pasteurized, colored, or flavored honey requires a USDA food processing license. And then you got to go through this whole process of having a sanitary inspected facility to then have that processed honey or pasteurized honey or creamed honey, all these variations that aren't just raw honey. If it's not basic raw honey straight from the hive, you have to go through a lot more steps if you want to sell it. So if you're a beekeeper or you're someone who's looking to sell their honey, consider what are you trying to sell? Do you want to sell creamed honey or spun honey or honey sticks or these other things? There's a lot more hoops to jump through, at least here in Washington State, compared to raw honey, which I think is just another pro for raw honey, where you can just extract it and sell it. It's really awesome. Um, one of the what I think one of the red flags of pasteurized honey is I don't know if, as our audience, you're listening, if you've heard much of like fake honey or I think it's probably usually being called fake honey. It's kind of a new fad that it's sort of honey, but not fully honey because like maybe it's on the storage of grocery the shelf of a grocery store, or maybe it's a local beekeeper selling it as raw honey. Um, but it's diluted. And it could be diluted with several different things: corn syrup, water, molasses. There might even be more to extend the shelf life, to add more honey to the shelf, right? To sell more. That's the purpose of it. Dave, have you heard of this fad of fake honey?
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I don't but I don't say that I know a lot about it. I mean it feels like it just feels like a real bummer to me. That's what it
Yeah,
feels like. It feels like a real bummer, a real disappointment. The thing is, there's so much of that out there today, and I think that's why I really like support your local beekeeper. You know, look for local raw honey. Look for the guy who's got the backyard bees. Go meet him. Go say hi. How you doing? Introduce yourself. I really like the idea of supporting backyard beekeepers, and I'm against. Listen, I don't particularly trust anything in a grocery store. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you the reason why. You've been to Whole Foods?
yeah,
Okay. Here's the deal that I believe about Whole Foods. One, why does everybody look exactly the same in that store? Right? They wear the exact same outfit. They look like they wore a shirt that got thrown up on. I don't know. They all look exactly the same. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say about the people who shop at Whole Foods when I go there. No offense if you shop at Whole Foods, you look very earthy, you look very granola, you're living the dream. But I got this app on my phone because I want to live clean and pure. Okay, that's really what I want to do. Like I try to live the best possible. And so I have this app, and basically every time you go up to a food product, you scan the food product, okay? And this is actually good because you're knowing what kind of soap you're buying, what kind of shampoo you're buying, what kind of cheese you're buying, what kind of chips you're buying. all of that stuff. And I'll tell you this, in going to Whole Foods and paying, 2 to 3 times the cost, or going to Trader Joe's, or going to any of these stores that really promote themselves as organic, or being in the Kroger grocery store, like I'm making some enemies here, but going to the Kroger grocery store and going down the organic aisle, and I'll tell you what, bam, you scan it and it shows you what's in it. And I'll tell you what, bad, bad, bad. It tells you poor, do not put this in your body, moderate, and excellent, right? And surprisingly enough, like, you pull Jiffy peanut butter off the top of that thing, and Jiffy peanut butter is excellent for you. But then if you go look at every single one of the organic peanut butters, it's like you're actually poisoning yourself. And I tell
Hmm.
you what, you go through it, and I'm actually gonna grab my phone. I would normally never do this on the show, but I'm gonna grab my phone. I'm gonna share the name of an app with you. And so I'm in the grocery store, and I'm going through, all of these things, because, like, even my kids are like, "Is it approved on the app? Is it approved on the app?" Because we really want to eat healthy. This idea of growing our own vegetables, having our own eggs, all of that, right? And so what happens is, even with the honey, you know what? It's coming up poor in the grocery store, and the app is called Yucca. Okay, and you can see,
Huh.
like, right here. I don't know if you can get a glimpse of that on the camera. It's
No.
kind of coming through a little bit. It's not working so well, but it's called Yucca, Yuka, and you can literally go through here and you can look at your chips, and you can look at your honey, and you can look at your pomegranate juice. Just as an example, we're looking at pomegranate juice in the organic aisle, and it says pour, don't touch it, right? You're looking at, natural strawberry spread, organic, pour, don't touch it. But then if you go strawberry fruit from Simply Truth organic, which is organic brand, it says it's good for you. So, you look at that kind of stuff and it says, hey man, I really got to be careful about what I eat. I really got to be careful for it. And I think the thing that touches me with the fake honey is, one, what am I putting in my body? And even if you're going to an organic driven grocery store with prices 3 times the dollar amount, the stuff isn't all that good for you. You can find the same things at Walmart for pennies on the dollar. And I'm not loving Walmart, but whatever. I love Walmart just because of the prices. But at the end of the day, I can get those same good nutrient driven foods at Walmart, find more of them, keep myself healthier, and spend less money. And I think that's just a good tip for any family out there. And so when you're looking at your honeys, scan the barcode, because it'll tell you what's in it. It'll tell you, whether it's bad or good or whatever. And I think that,
That's very interesting.
that's important to know. So Yucca is the app. Yuka. If you're looking at losing a little bit of weight and getting a little bit of healthy or whatever you're doing, Yucca is a great app. I know that's off topic with bees, but I think it really kind of flows into what we're talking about here, is putting the
Yeah.
best food possible into your system.
Yeah, which, I would say is raw honey. Raw honey's great for you. Find your local beekeeper, local raw honey. You can purchase from us, um, pre-order for the season. Uh, check out our website for that. That'll be coming out here soon. And then, but I wanted to touch on the idea of fake honey. There is a way to test if the honey you purchased is fake or not.
This is a super cool thing, by the way. I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to share it, steal your thunder, but this is actually really cool.
Unfortunately, you can't do this before buying, but you could buy it and
Right.
tell. So you scoop out with like a toothpick or something of the variety, and then you light that honey on fire. Light your honey on fire. If your honey burns, then it is real honey. It's raw. It's not oversaturated or diluted. If it doesn't burn, then it's fake or diluted on some level. Which then, if it were me and my honey didn't burn, I would take it back to wherever I got it. If it's a store, I'm taking it back and I'm demanding that I get what I actually wanted.
Real honey.
Um, yep. And if it's someone more local, then I'm gonna go back to them and I'm gonna let them know, hey, this this didn't pass the test. What's going on here? And ask some questions. So, if you ever are unsure of your honey that you've bought from the store or other places, that's one way to test. Is this legit or is this fake? So take that as a little token for testing your honey. Um, so raw honey, pasteurized honey, or processed honey, be aware of what you're buying. And here at Honey for Hope, we've got some great raw honey. Like I said, feel free to check it out towards the end of the season. And as we kind of begin here wrapping up things, Dave, I think it'd be cool if maybe we shared, well, if you have one, what is your favorite flavor of honey? Do you have a honey flavor that is your favorite?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love just regular natural honey. I don't need a flavor in my honey. But if I was to pick a flavor, blueberry.
Blueberry. Okay. Okay.
I love blueberries, man.
Yeah, blueberries are great. Um, I'm not I a classic wildflower is cool with me. I enjoy that. I enjoy like a blackberry or a marionberry honey as well. Those the I guess you could say that those darker berries, I really like them. So if those two honeys, not combined, but are their own things, then those are probably my favorite honeys. So if you're out there listening, we'd love to know what your favorite kind of honey is. Maybe we'll try and get that variety this year or next. Let us know. Comment, send an email, um,
Yeah.
comment on the YouTubes or the Facebooks or whatever, or just message us and say, hey, I love this honey. Can you guys get it this year? And we'll get back to you and we'll see if we can.
Yep. I love that. You know what really interests me is a jalapeno honey.
Jalapeno honey. Yeah, jalapeno infused honey. That's
I
we're gonna have
love
to get
jalapenos.
there.
I've never had it. Maybe we need to grow some jalapenos and then drop a hive in the center of it and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we'll figure out jalapeno infused honey at some point here because that sounds wonderful to me. So, yeah, that's about all we got for this episode.
Let's recap what we went over.
All right. Raw honey, that is in a high temperature extraction, 90 to 95 degrees. You can maybe go a little more, but stay kind of at the high temperature. And then it's not filtered much, maybe a couple times. And then if you want it to be pasteurized or processed, you move beyond that, where you filter it more. You filter until you kind of take out the nutritional value, the nutrients, the antioxidants, the vitamins. Um, if it's creamed, if it's spun, if it's heated beyond 120 degrees for a while, for multiple days, if it's diluted in any way, the water level is above 20%. Those things are processed, pasteurized honey. And those things are probably what you're going to find in your grocery store more often than you will local raw honey. So, and if you're in Washington State, you got to have a lot more, you have a lot more hoops to jump through if you're trying to sell the processed stuff. So, that about sums up our episode.
Yeah, that's awesome. This has been a great show. Listen, if you're interested in honey and you want to check out some of the Honey for Hope honey, just note we donate all that profit back to charity. So that's our mission is profit to charity. So it's really,
Change the
really
world.
cool. So that's our mission, change the world. So check us out on our website, honeyforhope.org. And then there's a contact us, honey for, yeah, the letter four, the number four, excuse me. And you just contact us and say, hey, I'm interested in some honey, and boom, we'll shoot right back to you. We'll get you a note, and we'll go from there. But we're about to start extracting over here in the next couple of months. We love honey. And just support what we do. Thank you for listening to the show. I'm your host, Dave Wescott. Follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere where it's social. We're hanging out. We're back next Thursday, so join us live and loud. We're having fun. Maybe we'll be talking about pasteurization and pollination as a combination. Dun dun
Who
dun.
knows?
Who knows? Maybe someday
Thanks,
Scott will
everybody.
jump on the show and have a little brood.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Bye bye. If you got that, if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.